The curse of greed. The drought had come silently, its hands cruel and unseen. The once lush valley where Mzile and his family lived had turned into a cracked, desolate wasteland. Rivers evaporated like whispers of water stolen by the sun, and even the hardiest crops withered under its oppressive glare. Hunger clawed at their bellies, gnawed at their spirits, and cast a long, suffocating shadow over their lives. As the days stretched into weeks, Mzile's wife, Lindiwe, tried to remain hopeful, though her strength was waning. "Go to my brother's village, Mzile," she urged, her voice shaking. "Themba has always been kind to us. Perhaps he will share some food." But Mzile's lips curled into a smirk, a shadow of his character already consumed by greed. He didn't reply immediately. He never liked asking for help, and the very thought irritated him like a thorn beneath his skin. Eventually, hunger broke his stubbornness. At sunrise, Mzile set off, carrying nothing but his selfish pride and an empty sack. The journey to Themba's village was arduous, the path winding through parched grass and skeletal trees. The air was heavy, the silence oppressive. When Mzile arrived, sweat glistening on his brow, the villagers welcomed him warmly. Themba had just slaughtered a goat, and the air was thick with the tantalizing aroma of roasting meat. Themba greeted his brother-in-law with open arms, but Mzile's face was a mask of desperation. "The famine has stolen everything," he lamented, biting into the food offered to him with reckless abandon. "We are starving, brother." Without hesitation, Themba gathered 5 sacks of maize and loaded them onto a cart. "Take this to your family," he said, his daughters offering to help carry the sacks to the edge of the valley. But as they approached the border, Mzile waved them away. "I can manage on my own," he insisted, a sly grin curving his lips. As soon as the girls left, Mzile carried the sacks to a hidden cave deep within the valley's folds. There, he concealed the food, his fingers trembling not with gratitude but with avarice. He ground some maize into flour and shaped it into cakes, disguising them as wild roots. He returned home with a sack filled with genuine roots and a sinister plan in mind. The Whispering Shadows. When Lindiwe saw Mzile approaching their hut, her face lit up with hope. "Did Themba help us?" she asked eagerly. Mzile's expression darkened, a twisted mixture of pity and smugness. "His village is no better than ours," he lied. "They've resorted to desperate measures. Eating flesh, human flesh, to survive." Lindiwe recoiled, horrified. "What are we to do?" she murmured. Mzile's eyes gleamed with deceit. "We must do the same," he said, pretending to cut a piece of flesh from his arm. He handed it to Lindiwe and began roasting meat he had hidden in his cloak. Unbeknownst to her, the flesh he roasted was goat meat, rich and fragrant. Nearby, the young son, Saifo, watched the scene unfold. The aroma of the roasting meat filled the air, drawing his attention. "Why does father's piece smell so good, while mother's does not?" he asked, his innocent curiosity cutting through the tension. Mzile smirked. "Because it's the flesh of a man," he replied, his voice dripping with false conviction. Later, Mzile handed Lindiwe some real roots to cook while he ate the maize cakes he had disguised. Saifo noticed again, "Why do father's roots smell so good, while mother's do not?" Lindiwe's unease grew. When one of Mzile's cakes fell to the ground unnoticed, Saifo picked it up and broke it apart. He tasted a piece, his eyes widening. "Mother, this isn't a root," he whispered. "It's maize." Suspicion bloomed within Lindiwe like a dark flower. The next morning, she decided to uncover the truth. With Saifo by her side, she silently followed Mzile as he ventured out of their hut. The Cave of Secrets. The sun was barely rising when Mzile made his way to the cave. He carried the pot and hummed an off-key tune, oblivious to the 2 shadows stalking him. Lindiwe and Saifo watched as he crouched near the boulder, pulling out the hidden sacks. They saw him grinding maize, cooking cakes, his greed reflected in every move. Fury coursed through Lindywe, a fire she hadn't felt in weeks of despair. She turned to Saifo. "Help me," she said. Together, they pushed the heavy boulder toward the entrance of the cave. Mzyle looked up at the sound of rumbling stone. His heart froze. The boulder tipped and rolled toward him, a force unstoppable and vengeful. He scrambled to his feet, abandoning the maze and pot as he fled. Down the valley he sprinted, over rocks and through rivers, the boulder relentless in its pursuit. The chase lasted all day, the boulder nipping at Mzyle's heels like a cursed beast. Exhausted, he finally returned home, collapsing at the doorstep. His face was pale, his clothes soaked. "I've lost everything," he moaned. "The maze, the pot, even my clubs." Inside the hut, Lindywe stood grinding maize from the sacks she had retrieved. Her expression was stern, her voice sharp. "You've behaved like a selfish fool," she said. "Tonight, there is no food for you." The Eland's revenge. Humble but not yet redeemed, Mzyle decided to hunt. With his spear and 2 dogs, Kubi and Duma, he ventured into the wilderness. He captured an eland cow and her calf, driving them back to the hut. The calves' ears tempted him, and he roasted them, savoring their fatty richness. But soon, his greed grew. He wanted the calf itself. Mzyle turned to his dogs. "Kubi, if I kill the calf, will you pretend to be it and suckle the cow?" Kubi growled. "I am no calf, master." Mzyle sneered and chased Kubi away. Turning to Duma, he asked the same question. Duma wagged his tail, agreeing to the deceit. Mzyle slaughtered the calf and fed Duma scraps. He wrapped the calf's skin around Duma, fooling the cow into letting down her milk. But Duma's greed mirrored Mzyle's. He drank too much, upsetting the cow. Her nostrils flared, and she charged at Mzyle with sharp horns. The chase was brutal, the cow relentless. It was only when Lindywe arrived, shouting directions, that Mzyle climbed onto a rock. The cow rammed the rock with such force that her neck snapped, and she collapsed. Lindywe regarded her husband with disdain but decided they might as well cook the cow. However, their fire had died. "Fetch fire from the village of cannibals," Lindywe instructed Saifo. "But don't let them smell meat." The village of cannibals. Saifo carried out the task, but he disobeyed his mother's warning. He hid a piece of meat in his cloak. At the cannibals' village, he traded the meat for fire, but the scent lured the ravenous villagers. They devoured the meat and then each other, their hunger turning them into monsters. Saifo escaped, warning his mother. The cannibals followed the scent to the hut, finding Mzyle cowering in the corner. They dragged him away, their laughter echoing in the night. The escape. That night, Lindywe brewed a potent beer and tricked the cannibals into drinking. As they slept, she set their huts ablaze, leaving none alive. She found Saifo waiting by the river, and together, they walked home. Epilogue. From that day, Lindywe and Saifo lived free from Mzyle's greed. The villagers learned of their bravery, and a new saying arose: "The greedy shall be cursed, but the wise shall endure." The valley began to heal, and though the scars of famine remained, hope blossomed once again.